Hey guys, Sandwich King here. Just did a section hike of Georgia from Amicalola Falls State Park through through Unicoi Gap, which is around 60 miles, adding the approach trail with the distance on the Appalachian Trail. It was a pretty good hike. I think it went pretty successfully. I wanted to give some advice of things that I found while I was out there. And I'm just going to show you a minute and a half of just some photos to show I really did the hike and not making it up. And we'll go through some things I noted about gear that worked well, what didn't, and some general advice I found from doing the section hike over 6 days with 2 kids, which is a challenge. Okay, so I did this section hike at the end of August, and I thought some of the temps that might be decent, mid 70s, low 70s high, low 60s low. Yeah, that sounds like that may be tolerable for hiking. Well, what I didn't count on was the humidity. All right, so it was like raining almost every day there, some like day and night days of rain. And the humidity was just very high. And even if the temps are okay, the high humidity just makes it so hot and sweaty feeling. Like I'm feeling sweaty like all day and all night pretty much. Like at nighttime with a low of 60, I'd sleep half the night with no sleeping bag, no blanket, just laying there on top of my sleeping mat, just sweating. And then like halfway into the night, just have the fleece blanket kind of over my legs, midway up my waist, and there's a light, thin fleece blanket. And in the day going uphill, just pouring sweat and having like air your shirt out all the time and stop and just cool down because you're getting so hot and sweaty. So I wouldn't do this section hike if it was in the summer or any kind of time of year where it's hotter and more humid. Probably best spring, fall. Maybe there might be some decent times in winter. I don't know. I have to look and see if it snows a lot in the winter there. But like definitely the cooler times of year are best just because you're going up and down hills and you're going to get really sweaty with the humidity. All right, so let's talk about some gear. All right, so I got both the Z-Pack Arc Haul on my cheapy little postal scale. Okay, this is just what I got. I don't have a fancy digital scale. I'm not a big time YouTuber, okay? So this comes in at, I believe it came in 1 pound, 11 ounces on there. And this came in at just an ounce under 2 pounds on my scale. So this is the Z-Pack Arc Haul. It's like 60 some liters. I got a lumbar pad on there, no shoulder pad attachment. And this is the Mariposa 60. This is a medium frame. This is also a medium frame pack. So a couple of comments about these backpacks. All right, I happen to really like my Arc Haul backpack, but I come to find out that if you put too much weight in this thing, it just doesn't carry a load well. And what I mean by that is, you know, when it's like under 20 pounds, it'll stay kind of in the right spot on your back. But when it gets too much weight in it, and I got 2 kids with me, so I was carrying a lot of the food and some extra gear, kind of bearing some of their weight, and it just overloaded the weight of this pack for what it's really made for, like an ultralight hiking style. I was probably in the high 20s on weight on this loaded up, and really this pack's probably best for staying within 20 pounds or less. I usually stay around a 10-pound base weight on gear, and then food and water, you know, is your weight beyond that, and fuel for your stove. When this gets too overloaded with weight, what happens is it sags down your back. And when that happens, the straps really just pull down on your shoulders and weigh your shoulders down. I was getting some shoulder soreness here. And then where it sits on your back here, the low back pad just sags down a lot, and you can just feel the weight just sagging the pack down, and it just slides down your butt a little bit, and then the waistband kind of digs in on your stomach as it's sagging down your back when it gets too much weight in it. So that's where you see some commentaries that the Z-Pack, like Arc Haul, probably the same thing with the Arc Blast. If you put too much weight in it, it just doesn't carry weight well. But it's a comfortable, good pack as long as you're obviously probably within 20 pounds or less of what you're carrying. This Gossamer Gear Mariposa, if you're carrying somewhere in the 20-30 pound range, is probably better. If you're going solo by yourself, the Arc Haul, you may be able to stay within the weight on that. But if you're carrying some stuff for someone else with you, like kids, like I was, the Mariposa 60 is probably a better pack. I think it's kind of cool about this, and I'm a Z-Pack guy, so it hurts me a little bit to say this, but it's kind of cool with the Mariposa that you got like a pocket pouch here, the pouch here, and you got this really big, deep pocket here, and then this elastic out here, for stuff you want to grab easy. And it's got a little zipper pouch on top, which is kind of cool to put stuff in the lid. The one thing that I kind of don't like about the Mariposa 60 is when you have it open at the top, it's kind of hard to get down in the pack. The opening at the top's kind of narrow, so a little hard to dig stuff out. Whereas with my Zip Arc Haul here, I can unzip all the way down, and it's pretty easy to get stuff in and out. So, let's go on to some other gear. All right, so I'm gonna talk pillow. I got different pillows because I had kids with me, so everyone have a pillow. So this is the lightest one I got, the Climate. It's an X-shaped pillow. So this is a very comfortable pillow if you're sleeping on your back. Your head just fits in the center really comfortably if you're laying on your back. The only problem is if you're a side sleeper, it's just kind of low and your neck kind of hang down. My youngest kid was able to use this because he's got a smaller frame, so a little easier for him having a lower pillow, but it's just a little low to the ground, flattish if you're a side sleeper. But it's only 2 ounces, not a bad pillow. I got this Trekology pillow. This weighs 3 ounces. This is a very good side sleeper pillow, because it just gives you enough height to kind of lift your head off the ground where your head's not sagging down, your neck getting sore and all. If you deflate it some, you could kind of back sleep with it, but if it's inflated a lot, your neck's gonna be kind of up on it. My commentary on that. This is my luxury pillow here. So this thing weighs, let me see, I got 8.5 ounces on my postal scale, so this is a real luxury. This is a Nemo Pillow. This kind of gives me the best of all worlds. It's just, it's a luxury item. It's a weight punishment for me to carry it. It's got this real foamy layer on top, which is part of why it's so heavy. And then it's got an air bladder inside that you blow up to the thickness you want. So if you're on your side, it gives you that height off the ground, comfort, soft surface. But gosh, I'm an ultralight, trying to be an ultralight guy, and it's painful to put an extra 6 ounces or so, in my pack. And it takes up some space even when it's deflated down. So that's my thoughts on that. I guess some people are okay with wadding up some clothes in a dry bag or something, but I've tried doing that on some hikes before, and I just cannot get a comfortable night's sleep without a decent pillow. It's just something that doesn't work for me. I've got to have a pillow. All right, so as I mentioned earlier in the video, I'm a big Z-Pack fan. I like they got some of the lightest, very high quality stuff. It's a little pricey, but you get what you pay for with hiking gear, and some of these things can last you a lifetime. Take good care of it. So I got the Plexamid. This thing weighs in at a crazy light 15 ounces on my postal scale, and I've got the Duplex. This comes in at 1 pound 5 ounces, so about another 6 ounces on the postal scale. So if you're trying to shave some weight, Plexamid, a little bit lighter. It's a 1-person tent. Whereas the Duplex, can sleep 2 people, a little bit crowded, but not on top of each other, but a palace for 1 person. Plexamid seemed like it had a good amount of space for 1 person, trying to be ultra light. I got 2 different types of stakes, and I did notice a difference between the 2. I think these are called Sonic stakes here. You can see they got like a triangleness to them, and they got like a notching around the top that the tent line hangs on. These are really good stakes. I like it. The only down, I guess I could say, of it is that it does get a lot of mud stuck in these grooves, and I just don't like carrying around a bunch of mud in my stakes, so I gotta kind of scrape it out on something or kind of dig the mud out of the grooves. That's kind of a minor complaint. But I also got these shepherd hook titanium stakes. And you know, these push in the ground easy, which is kind of nice. These are a little bit more work. I put my shoe on top and just kind of shove it in with my shoe stepping onto it. That's how I put these in. The one down about these shepherd hook stakes though is I did have a couple times where on the I'd use this with the Pleximed and it rotated some, like in the ground overnight, and then the line was able to kind of slip off of it, you know, that if you got like this and the line's that way, if it rotates around, the line can kind of slip off, you know, that they don't have much turn resistance. And I did have one night where it almost came out of the ground, and it wasn't even like a windy night. Just, I guess, from the tautness and the mud being softer, it almost pulled out of the ground by the morning. So I would say these are probably a better stake than this, and it's not that big of a weight difference between the two. But if you're trying to be ultralight, you know, the Z-Pack tent's definitely gonna go a long ways at cutting your base weight down. All right, sleeping pad. I've got the Nemo tensor. It's got like the insulation on the inside. This is another thing that I'm taking a little bit of a weight penalty for, but you know, I've heard the phrase, you don't want to be stupid light. You know, I'm tired from hiking and I want a comfortable night's sleep, so I'm gonna carry a little extra weight. This is the wide one too. You know, what I like about the wide one is when you're laying down on your back, your elbows are on the pad instead of hanging onto the ground. So yeah, that was worth it to me. Comes in on my postal scale at 1 pound, 3.5 ounces. You know, for a longer hike of more than just a day or two, I opt to skip the little inflation so I can just blow it up by mouth. It's not that big of a deal to blow it up by mouth. Yes, I guess you may get some mold from condensation inside of it, but you know, to save another couple ounces or so, that's what I do. But I'm a real fan of the Nemo tensor. I didn't get the, oh, y'all know what I'm talking about. There's this real lightweight one that sounds like you're laying on a bag of potato chips. I roll around a lot at night, and I don't want to lay in something that sounds like crinkling potato chips. That's my thought. I got a couple really cheapy sleep pads, like this Outdoorsman sleeping pad. I mean, this is okay. This is like 40 bucks or something off of Amazon. You know, it kind of does the job. It's not real warm on colder nights, but you know, if you're on a budget, it's like, let me see. This comes in at right at a pound on my scale, so it's not too heavy. It's cheap. And then this Sleep Mingo pad stinks. All right, don't buy the Sleep Mingo pad. The reason is this is a really smooth, slick pad. Well, the problem with that is none of the campsites are really perfectly level on the Appalachian Trail that I ran into. They all got a little bit of slope to them. And so you're gonna always kind of be on some kind of slope. And with this being so smooth and slick, like you just slide off of it and it slides in the tent to one end of the tent. And that's just no good. I mean, the comfort-wise laying on it's okay, but just being so slick, you slide all around on it. Yeah, it's pretty lightweight. This comes in at 13 ounces, but I'm gonna carry the extra ounces to have this comfortable pad that I can lay. It's got real thick side sleep and it doesn't slide around so much, and more insulation. I just take the weight penalty of some extra ounces to get the better sleep pad. All right, so bear bag. I got the Z-Pack bear bag. This thing holds a lot of stuff in it. I mean, this gigantic space inside. And this only weighs, I think, a couple of ounces or so. Let me see on the scale. Mine comes in at like 1.5 ounces on my postal scale for this bear bag. You absolutely do need a bear bag because there's a lot of snap lines where people have like hung bags and bears got them, and I've seen bear footprints in the mud here and there, and I actually came up on a bear about 25 yards from it, and it took off down the hill like loud thundering, crashing down the hill, and heard some movement in some bushes and stuff that might or might not have been a bear in different spots, but there's bear warning things all over the place. I personally prefer to hang my food bag up in a bear cable area. It's just so much easier than trying to PCT hang. You have to do the PCT hang, not like tying it off to a tree, because the bears there are pretty smart at stealing food. They've obviously snapped a lot of lines in a bunch of different camps there from what I've seen. And there's warnings about, you know, bears getting food and stuff. There's a couple areas that are known to be bear problem spots. Just past Neal's Gap, I think it's like Bull's Gap and like Baggs Creek or something like that, Baggers Creek. That area past Neal's Gap known to be a bear problem area. And I did see kind of signs of bear activity, you know, in that area, just looking around. All right, rain gear, I got the Frog Togs. It's like a ultralight Frog Togs. I mean, it keeps you dry, and, you know, I know it's kind of thin, but, you know, you could throw it and replace it pretty cheaply. I mean, jacket here only weighs 5 ounces on my postal scale. It's a large rain jacket. To be honest with you, it's so hot, humid feeling that when it rained, it was kind of relieving, and so we just opted to just kind of get wet to cool off because we were just soaking with sweat all day anyways, and it was kind of nice. Unless it rained like heavier. There was only like one time approaching Blood Mountain we wore rain gear for a little while because it was getting to be moderate to heavy rain. It was getting to be a little bit too much just to absorb some of the cool off of the rain. Miscellaneous things go through Unicoi tape. This is great stuff if you got like a blister area forming. You know, we use the Ultra Lone Peak 4.5 shoes with Darn Tough quarter hiker socks. So we didn't have any feet blister problems at all with that. That's a great combination for keeping your feet happy on the trail. But yeah, a little bit of blisters from one of the trek poles I got. I wouldn't take this whole roll because it's heavy. Like what I did is I had like this antiseptic spray and I just wrapped it around the outside of that, a couple rounds just to have some to work with, and brought a small pair of like little metal scissors to be able to cut it with and like cut packages and stuff with instead of bringing a knife. So that worked pretty well. For water purification, I had a Sawyer microfilter. This thing sucked. All right, I've tried back flushing this thing, and the flow rate for 3 people was just way too slow. We spent way too long filtering water at every spot, just squeezing and squeezing and squeezing, trying to get water out of this thing was like torture, basically. So I'm gonna try probably the Sawyer regular one instead of this micro one in the future. I've had this for a couple hikes, and yeah, I've tried back flushing it. I don't know, maybe somebody will comment about what I can do to fix my micro flow rate, but with back flushing, the flow rate still sucks. Okay. For water carrying, I got the Knock water bag. This is a great water bag, by the way. One thing that's really nice is you can kind of open it up wide to really scoop out water fast with it. You know, of course, cap up the end down here. Or if you got like a little water drop out of a pipe, you can just kind of get that right there and just fill it up. Holds 2 liters, that's a lot of space to hold. And as you're filtering, you can just roll it down as you're squeezing it and get a good squeeze on it that way. And it's super tough. I've heard you can like stand on this thing and jump up and down a little bit without bursting it. I had the Sawyer bag that came with this originally. The Sawyer bags suck. All right, those things burst. I was like a couple nights of hiking into the Sawyer bag, and I went to start squeezing the filter at a creek, and the thing just burst wide open. And fortunately, I had a couple smart water bottles that I was able to turn one smart water into a dirty water bottle and put the filter right on top of it, and then filter into the other bottle I had. I would have had like end my hike right then and there had it not been for that. So don't use the Sawyer bags. Get one of these. They're like 20 bucks, but it's a great bag. I like it a lot. I got this headlamp. I got it from Lightsmith. I think like L-I-T-E, Smith, S-M-I-T-H, I think was the website. It's the night core headlamp, and then they put like a cord on the back. It saves like an ounce or two this way. This is crazy light, and it's a great light. It's got the red light. There it is, red light and different brightnesses, and the white light that can get pretty darn bright. And on the postal scale, with the headband, this only comes in at like 1 ounce. And to charge up my phone and my headlamp, I really like this. It's the Jackery, I think it's called Jackery Bolt. Yeah, Jackery Bolt. And what's really cool about this is it's got the charging cables built into it. You got like your iPhone type cable, and then this type cable here can plug in, you know, to the headlamp and devices that take that. And I was able to charge up my phone, I think probably about 4 times with this. I actually didn't even need to charge my headlamp the entire time. It was still good on the first charge. I didn't do any night hiking, just using it at camp at night. And if you hold you have to tap the power button when you plug up to get it to charge something. And if you hold it for like 4 seconds, then the light will come on this too. You can have a little light on this as well. As far as phone battery life, I stayed on airplane mode all the time except on mountaintops. I was able to get some signal with my Verizon to reach out, to send texts, make phone calls. I pretty much waited till I was like in a mountaintop area. We usually had decent phone reception up there. And then you have to stay in airplane mode outside of when you're on a mountaintop, because if you don't, your battery will drain down really fast trying to get a signal. I was able to get about 2 days out of my iPhone 8 between charging up with on airplane most of the time, and I was using GutHook app like constantly. Absolutely get the GutHook app. I think it was only $8 or $9 to get like from Amicalola Falls to Standing Bear in North Carolina, and it saved us from getting lost twice. You got like this overhead map view where you can hit GPS enable on the app and like see if you're on the trail or if you're off the trail, and I was able to see which way was to the trail in the GutHook app. And there's a couple times where we would have gotten real lost had we not done that, because it started like, this doesn't look like the trail around here anymore. And I go on my GutHook app and it says, yeah, we're off the trail. You know, and you can kind of, as you're walking, see as you're moving towards the trail line. And that saved us from getting lost a couple times. And then it's really nice, you got this elevation profile map. And the Appalachian Trail in Georgia is just up, down hills the whole time. There's not really any length of flatter sections. And that's where it can really wear you out, especially like your knees if you're not using trekking poles. Which brings me like a couple of things to show you. I got this deuce of spades trowel for burying, you know, your number twos. This is really good. It's got like these little root cutter little spots on here, so like when you jab it into the ground, it can kind of chop some of the little roots and dig in. This is only like a 1 ounce. I think it's the tougher one they got, and didn't have any problems with this bending. I mean, I can't even bend it squeezing it at all. Like squeezing hard, it barely bends. Tough little trowel. A couple things more to go through. Instead of using the back flush thing for the Sawyer filter, I just put one of these little pop caps on my smart water bottle, so it'll actually fit in on the end here, and then I can squeeze my bottle to back flush instead of carrying a couple extra ounces of the syringe. It's kind of an ultralight tip. Also, make sure you have the bottom of one of these little water bottles cut out, because if you're in a little barely running water source, you can kind of scoop up some water with this and put it into your water bag, whereas you can't really fill the water bag in low running water source areas. Little comment about water sources too. On the GutHook app, if it's like a full blue circle, that's a reliable water source. The unreliable water sources were like all flowing except for like one in the whole 60-some miles that we hiked, because they've been raining like every day. So if you got regular rain, the unreliable water sources are probably flowing, but if it hasn't rained in days, I wouldn't necessarily count on them. I do want to talk about trekking poles. I didn't think the weight of trekking poles was a big deal until I got some lighter ones. I have these Kelty aluminum poles that weigh, let's see, I got these weighing in at 1 pound and like 4 ounces. And then I got these Cascade Mountain Tech carbon fiber trekking poles with like the EVA foam handles. By the way, the EVA foam is better than cork, because I got like the plastic up here, I think is where we got a little bit of blister action. The cork's pretty comfortable, but the plastic cap isn't. The EVA foam, no kind of blister problems, super comfortable, soaks sweat up. These Cascade Mountain Tech poles only weighing in about 11 ounces for the pair of them. So, I mean, it may not sound like a big weight difference, but, and then it's got the flip lock here on it instead of twist lock. I hate the twist lock. It like loosens up sometimes, starts to collapse. The flip lock is more reliable. It's faster to adjust up and down for, you know, if you're using these for your tent. And this night and day lighter, I was using these poles for a while, and the kids were using these, and they're like, we want to use your trekking poles. And they handed me these poles, and I was like, dang, do these things have light weights in them? I was shocked at the difference when you get used to this lightweight Cascade Tech carbon fiber pole. And no durability issues with these. I mean, I got in some rock areas, thought where I might have broke them or something, caught in a little rock crack or something. And they didn't break. I mean, they've held up strong for being a super lightweight little trekking pole. And these were only like $62 on Amazon or something like that. So, you know, they're kind of off-brand, but they work good, all right? I'm trying to save a buck here, right? Isn't everyone? You know, these aluminum poles with this spring inside sounds fancy and all, but get the carbon fiber. It's so much lighter. I mean, just holding them right here, I could feel like the weight of these just tiring my arm carrying them. You really need trekking poles for the Appalachian Trail, probably all of it, especially Georgia. You're going up and down hills, and you can use the trekking poles to help push off when you're going up, and it saves your knees on the downhill, because you plant the trekking pole in front of you, then ease your step down and put some of that burden of the downhill on your upper body and your arms instead of all on your knees. I didn't have hardly any knee pain in 60 miles, and nor did my kids. And they were using at least one trekking pole or 2 trekking poles. We had to kind of split them up between the 3 of us, and no knee pain problems with the trekking poles. And if you kind of lose your step or slip a little bit or something, you can really help stabilize yourself with these things. I only have the cap on here while it's in storage, but I take it off when you use. Put the mud baskets on. It helps prevent it getting too deep down between like rocks or something that could like snap your pole. You know, if your pole kind of slips down between some rocks and you crack and break it or something. It prevents that. So, and then you're getting softer mud, helps prevent your pole sinking too deep in it too. I think it's good to put those on there. Oh, almost done here. Cooking gear. I got this, what is it? Toke's light titanium pot, 550 milliliter. Yeah, it holds like 2 cups in it. This was fine for cooking ramen and stuff in it, and instant mashed potatoes. Well, what I do is all my cooking's in Ziploc freezer bags. They have to be freezer bags. The regular bags are not safe to cook in. So I'll put like the ramen or instant mashed potato, whatever I'm cooking, in Ziploc freezer bag, like a gallon one. I'll boil up the amount of water I need in this, then I add it to the Ziploc freezer bag. I had a bubble envelope mailer that I put the Ziploc bag in to kind of help insulate it, keep my hands from getting hot holding it, and then put the boiling water in the Ziploc bag with it, let it kind of hydrate and soften up, and then, you know, you can hold it in a bubble envelope mailer, you know, while eating it with a long handle titanium spoon. Stovetop, I've got this BRS stove. This is super lightweight. Is 1 ounce, all right? I know there's like fancy Windmaster stoves and all that, but this thing works. It really does. It weighs 1 ounce, screws on top of your little gas can thing, and gets you a nice flame spread under your pot. It boils water. I mean, what more do you need it to do, all right? I want to talk briefly about supply on the trail. I had made up a resupply box of about 4 days of food, which ended up being too much, and that I dropped off at Mountain Crossings. See, I haven't got the shirt there, Mountain Crossings, at Neal's Gap. What I ended up doing, I was driving to the trailhead at Amicalola Falls State Park. So I went to Mountain Crossings, I dropped off my supply box. It's a $1 donation at drop off or pickup for them to hold the box for you. I figured it'd save me a bunch of shipping money to just drop the box off. It wasn't terribly out of the way, half an hour or something out of the way for me. And I parked at Amicalola Falls State Park. To park there, which I think they let you park up to 2 weeks, you pay $5 to enter the park, and then you have to go to the visitor center. And then you go in the visitor center, and they'll have you fill out this piece of paper, you know, about when you're where you're going farthest, about when you're going to return, and give you like a window hanger that you put on there in addition to the park window hanger. And they have you park on this like dirt road that's like right near the entrance. So like when you come in the entrance, you'll see immediately to your right like an uphill dirt road, and you just kind of go up that dirt road and park on the right side of it somewhere up there. That's like their up to 2 week parking for hikers. And then the approach trail starts right behind the visitor center. Let's see, days of food. I brought 4 days of food for me and 2 kids. That was a lot of weight in food. That actually is really dragging my pack weight down. Carrying so much food. But 4 days worked about right. I think we got about 3.5 days in to Neal's Gap. Is how long it took us. And I was traveling with kids. I could have traveled a little faster if I was solo. And then it took us, I think, about another 2 days to get from Neal's Gap to Unicoi Gap. Unicoi Gap is a major highway there that you can get a ride in to Helen, Georgia, one way, I think Hiawassee the other direction. I suppose someone could get away with like 2 days of food, you know, from Neal's Gap to Unicoi Gap, and then just get a food resupply. I would recommend more frequent food resupplies than trying to carry like 8 days of food or something. I mean, if you're gonna spend all this money on like all this lightweight gear, then why would you carry like several pounds extra of food? You're kind of defeating being ultralight. Going up and down hills, you need your pack as light as possible because you're gonna wear your knees and back and everything out if you're chugging around this heavy pack. I mean, don't have a 10-pound base weight and then be carrying 15 pounds and like food and water and stuff. And by the way, there's water sources frequently on the trail, so what I've heard is recommended, if you weren't sweating like crazy like I was, you could do, is drink like an entire liter at the water source and carry just a minimal amount of water. And your gut hook app will tell you how far to the next water source and if it's reliable or not, so you kind of know how far you got to go to your next water spot. So you're not carrying a bunch of weight in water, and only carry enough food to get you through to the next resupply area. You know, don't get this ultralight tent and all this ultralight stuff and then be carrying a bunch of extra days of food. You know, the Appalachian Trail has a lot of road crossings, and there is cell signal up on the hilltop areas and stuff. You know, I suppose if a bear got your food, you could call one of the local shuttle guys to help you out, you know, getting you into a resupply or something like that. And people are coming down the trail all the time, so you're not like alone in the wilderness. All right, med kit. I had like this antiseptic spray for like helping with bug bites and any kind of cuts and stuff that my Leukotape couple wraps had around it. I used it up actually on the last day, so I don't have it in my med kit here. But have something that's like an antiseptic and something that helps with like stings of bug bites, mosquitoes. There's a lot of poison ivy around, so you probably want something that can treat like some rashes like that. I have like some ibuprofen, some anti-diarrhea kind of medicine in here. I've got some Band-Aids in here. I got this Tenacious tape, gear repair tape. I probably could have carried a lot less than this. You know, if you get a hole in your sleeping pad or tear in your rain jacket and just different things like that, the Tenacious tape can kind of give you a temporary patch, you know, fix on those sort of things. But you don't need like a big heavy med kit. I've seen a lot of videos talking about that. Talk real quick about shoes and socks, because this is important. You're walking up and down hills all day long. You need your feet to be comfortable, and my feet were comfortable in 60 miles of hiking, and they were getting wet off and on. So I figured this stuff must really work. These are the Darn Tough quarter hiker socks. These are great socks, you know, and then I paired them with Ultra Lone Peak 4.5 trail runner shoes. They got really good grippiness on there. They have like a trap here for attaching, what do they call those things that keep rocks and stuff? Gaiters, I guess they're called. And like a little loop for attaching them on the front here. I know Dirty Girls, I think, is a brand that sells like lightweight gaiters. My youngest son had a lot of problems with getting like rocks and sand and stuff in his sock and shoe all the time. I'm definitely gonna get him gaiters before he goes out on the trail again. It wasn't such a problem for me. I did get, you know, every hill or so I'd have some rocks to knock out, so maybe worthwhile getting gaiters. But the Darn Tough socks, I mean, these things are made of merino wool, and they're darn tough. I mean, they're guaranteed for life. If you get a hole in them, you can send them back and get a brand new pair for the rest of your life. That's why they're $18. I guess you're kind of paying for multiple pairs of socks at once, effectively. But they were comfortable, soft inside. I didn't get any blisters at all in 60 miles of hiking with getting wet feet. You know, I did get my feet kind of soaked a little bit in some heavy rain coming up Blood Mountain area. And by wearing them into the next day, they started drying out. I would carry a day set of clothes and a night set of clothes. You don't want to wear your funky smelling socks and dirty pants and stuff in your sleeping bag and tent and get that stuff all nasty smelling and stuff, especially if you're hiking in warmer weather. So that's where having a clean set for nighttime. That's really all you need is your day clothes and your night clothes. All right, it's just, you don't want to carry a bunch of weight and extra sets of clothes. You know, you can get into town areas where you can wash your clothes up and stuff. Or if you're section hiking like I was, you can just bear with it for a week and clean up when you get home. But I would absolutely get the Ultra Lone Peak 4.5 shoes. These are fantastic. You have to go up a size over your normal shoe size. So if you wear an 11 size shoe, get a 12. All right, they have a wide foot box that prevents your toes rubbing around a lot. You need to go up a size though, because you need space in your toes. You're going downhill as much as you're going uphill. And if you don't go up a size, your toes are gonna bang the tips of your shoes and you're gonna get like nasty looking toenails turning purple and your toes killing you on the downhills. Don't worry about having like Ronald McDonald flip-floppy shoes going up a size. All right, I went up a size and it was very comfortable. No blister foot pain problems. Worked out really well. Clothing wise, no cotton. You know, ex officio underwear. I got the ex officio Give and Go underwear. Fantastic underwear, by the way. They're expensive for them, but you know, I had a pair for the day and a pair for the night, and I mean, no chafing, very comfortable. All right, that's a little weird saying in the video, but hey, people need to know this, right? I try to help you all out. So, and then for pants, I had the Columbia Silver Ridge pants, and I zipped off the lower legs, so I just wore them as shorts all day because it was so hot that I couldn't wear pants. They're lightweight, but make sure you've got something that's like real lightweight, fast dry kind of material. You know, for shirts, there's like Nike Dry Fit that dries real fast and light. I had some kind of Oakley Dry Fit lightweight shirt that I wore a lot that you know, dried out within an hour or two of getting soaked. Because it was so hot, I was actually soaking my shirt in creeks and stuff and wringing it out to kind of rinse sweat out and cool myself off. And a couple hours of wearing it, it was dry. You really don't need sunblock or even necessarily a hat, because unless you're in a time of year where the leaves are off the tree, time I went, there was leaves on the trees, and like I didn't get any sunburn at all because you got tree shade over you 95% of the time, maybe 99% of the time, except for the occasional view you might have a little sun on you, and even then it was kind of cloudy outside. Hopefully this helps. You know, I just want to help the next section hiker, or maybe someone that's doing a through hike, just trying to prepare for the first section. Some ideas as far as gear and all. You know, again, it's great to have a lot of ultralight gear and stuff to keep your pack weight down, but don't pack a bunch of extra weight and food and water more than you need to carry. The approach trail is a bear, by the way. That thing is like almost all uphill, and I sweated a lot on the approach trail. Blood Mountain wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. I was actually kind of surprised that the downhill is worse than the uphill because you got some big rock steps down and a little bit of kind of going down some like 45-degree angle rock areas, and it was wet when I was going down. You know, these shoes have real good lugs on them that help get in like the grooves and cracks of the rock, and use your trekking poles that kind of help stabilize you when you're going down from slipping and landing on your back and busting your butt. Beyond that, I mean, it's just up and downhill all day long, so be prepared for that. You know, I did some gym training in advance that helped a lot. I did the treadmill on like the 15 incline, and I worked up to like an hour at a time of that. I think that helped a lot for me. I felt good energy going up the hills. I really didn't get tired going up the hills. I just got sweaty and hot because of it being end of August and the high humidity. You know, doing some like low back exercises, you know, to help, because you're always bending over, you know, doing stuff camping and on the trail, you know, it's probably helpful. Just general exercises I'm sure are helpful, but I thought the incline treadmill helped a lot with really developing that uphill leg strength. Hope the video is helpful. Like, subscribe, comment below. I'm not expecting to be a big time YouTuber, so if you don't subscribe, you're not hurting my feelings. I just hope the video helps.